Welcome to Module 17 of the Intermediate English-Spanish Translation class. We have a very meaningful class stored for you today, and we begin with today's life principle. The language we speak affects the way we think. Let me say that again. The language we speak affects the way we think. Think about it. It is said, according to experts, that Chinese children, they learn to count earlier than English-speaking children. And the reason is that Chinese numbers are more regular and transparent than English numbers. In Chinese, for example, 11 is 10-1. Likewise, people speaking some Australian languages orient themselves in space better than English-speaking people. They often know north from south, even in darkness. Wow. And that's because their languages have absolute spatial deities. This means that when referring to a distant object, they don't say that car or that tree over there. Rather, they say the car to the north or the tree to the south, because they need to know direction in order to correctly assemble utterances in their language. So different languages focus the attention of their speakers on different aspects of the environment, either physical or cultural. One example that I'm sure you're familiar with, typically, we don't say it is 6:30 in Spanish. You could say that, but most people say son las 6:30. So they're doing a fraction already, y media. And then for 6:45 in Spanish, we usually say son las 7:45. So there again, we're dealing with fractions. But other languages are even stronger than Spanish when it comes to numbers. So the bottom line is that language functions as a filter of perception, memory, and attention. And like this gentleman here, Benjamin Lee Whorf, says, the language we speak affects the way we think. How about that? How about that? Something to ponder on. Today's saying, to be or not to be? That is the question. Now, you heard that before, William Shakespeare, right? How do you say that in Spanish? Well, I learned it one way, and then I was doing research, and I came across another way. So there are two valid translations in Spanish. Ser o no ser es la cuestión. I don't like that one personally. I like the next one. Ser o no ser es un dilema. O como yo lo aprendí de joven, ser o no ser, ese es el dilema. Now we're going to be talking more about this because we're going to be talking about the verb to be in Spanish. This is going to be the last time we talk about the verb to be in Spanish. We already introduced the topic during the introductory class, and this is the last time for you to master how to translate to be in Spanish. All right? So pay close attention, ask questions, make sure that you know when to translate it in the appropriate way, because in Spanish, the verb to be could be translated in 3 different ways, depending on the context. And I'll explain in a few minutes. Oh, yeah. The monologue of Hamlet. Hamlet, of course, is the Shakespeare work that deals with to be or not to be. And let's read the original in English first, and then let's read that wonderful translation. It takes a great translator to translate literature, such as this one, the monologue of Hamlet. To be or not to be. By the way, do you know what the topic is? If somebody just asks, what's the topic of Hamlet? Well, the big battle between should I stay alive and continue to suffer, or should I end my life? That's the bottom line. But it begins this monologue, to be or not to be. That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing them, end them, to die, to sleep no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the 1,000 natural shocks. That flesh is heir to 'tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. And then in Spanish, we could say monólogo, pero no, hay una palabra mejor todavía, el soliloquio. El soliloquio de Hamlet. Ser o no ser es la cuestión. ¿Qué debe más dignamente optar el alma noble entre sufrir de la fortuna impía el porfiador rigor, o rebelarse contra un mar de desdichas y afrontándolo desaparecer con ellas? Morir, dormir, no despertar más nunca. Poder decir todo acabó, en un sueño sepultar para siempre los dolores del corazón, los 1,000 y 1,000 quebrantos que heredó nuestra carne. ¿Quién no ansiara concluir así? So again, as you can see, that translation, which is by itself a masterpiece, it is not word by word. You really need to know the English first. And you also need to know literature in Spanish and poetry to translate something like that. I mentioned before, I have a dear friend who is a translator. She specializes in 2 topics. She specializes in medicine and children's literature. Yeah, that's a specialty. And she has won the #1 award worldwide as a translator twice in a row. And then another time she came #2 worldwide. Yep, but it's taken a whole life to get to that point. She's in her 60s right now. So, having said that, let's continue today's expression. To be about. How do you translate that into Spanish? To be about. Well, what does it mean? It means to be present or to be in the vicinity. Haber, estar presente, estar, andar cerca, andar, estar por. See, that's to be about. Here's an example. Not many people are about today. Now, you really need to understand it in English first. What? Not many people are about today. No hay mucha gente hoy. Ahí está. No hay mucha gente hoy, del verbo haber. Es corto, pero es el mensaje original. Sometimes Americans say out and about, but this is just about. No hay mucha gente hoy. And today's phrase, to be, as in the future, but again, to, and then hyphen, be. It means futuro. Let me introduce you my wife to be. Le presento a mi futura esposa. Somebody who is engaged, not married yet, but they're getting close to getting married. Never to be forgotten. Para no olvidar, para el recuerdo que perdura en la memoria, imborrable, inolvidable. Como dice la canción, inolvidablemente. The photo of Neil Armstrong on the moon is an image never to be forgotten. La foto de Neil Armstrong en la luna es una imagen para no olvidar. Tenga cuidado con la palabra imagen, porque hoy en día a todo lo que es foto le llamamos imagen. Y no, no, no. Hay imágenes, pero no todas las fotos son imágenes. Por ejemplo, una foto de un paisaje, ahí no hay imagen. Así que es que en inglés todo le llaman image, image, image. Tiene que haber una imagen de alguien o tal vez un animal, pero no la use demasiado. En este caso está bien, porque usted se imagina cuando Neil Armstrong puso pie en la luna. Eso es una imagen para no olvidar. All right. Y luna con mayúscula en español. All right. Today's topic, Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Saint John wrote in the book of Revelation, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the ending, saith the Lord God, which is, and which was, and which is to come, the Almighty. Wow, what a bold statement. I am the Alpha and the Omega. That means eternity. And not only the beginning and the end, but everything in between is included, is comprehensive. And then he says, which is in the present, which was in the past, and which is to come in the future. The Almighty. So it is eternal, it is ever present, and it is the Almighty God, the Creator. Beautiful, beautiful. So let's interpret that statement. Who is the main subject of the statement, I am the Alpha and the Omega? Well, here is the answer. He's talking about Jesus. A comprehensive person, the Alpha and the Omega. Jesus comprises all that goes between, as well as the beginning and the end. the last, that is the first and the last. Wholeness. And then also, as we interpret that statement, we see the divine attributes of God. Eternity, which is, which was, and which is to come. And then immutability. In other words, there's no change. The beginning and the ending still the same, no change. And then omnipotence, which is all-powerful, the Almighty. Now that should make us think, because we have to give an account to God for our lives. And there's a word that is not being used anymore, like God created that word, and it is the word sin. You don't hear that word on the news anymore. It's been changed to crime, mistakes, faults, but you don't hear the word sin unless you're in a church. And there's something important that we need to recognize about sin, judgment, and Jesus' second coming. See, sin leaves a stain of guilt and pollution upon the soul of a man or woman. Nothing can fetch out this stain but the blood of Christ. And Christ shed his own blood to satisfy divine justice and purchase pardon and purity for his people. Now let me read something to you that somebody who expresses himself much better than I do wrote. He said, Christ has made believers kings and priests to God and his Father. As such, they overcome the world, mortify sin, govern their own spirits, resist Satan, prevail with God in prayer, and shall judge the world. But that's not to be done in human strength. He continues, he, that is Jesus, he will judge the world. Attention is called to that great day when all will see the wisdom and happiness of the friends of Christ, of the redeemed ones, but also the madness and misery of his enemies. Let us think frequently upon the second coming of Christ. He shall come to the terror of those who wound and crucify him. He shall come to the astonishment of the whole world of the ungodly. And then he closes, alas, that there should be many who would wish never to die, and that there should not be a day of judgment. But the day of judgment is coming. And now you, I, everyone has the chance to run to Jesus and say, I am guilty, and I accept what you did for me to pay for my guilt. And I want to be under you. In other words, whether we like it or not, we have to give an account. Now, all of this because we're going to be studying the verb to be. All right? So it's in preparation of that. So what did we learn? Number one, Jesus is the everlasting, unchanging, and all-powerful God. Jesus comprises what is first, what is last, and what is in between. In the fullness of time, Jesus will again reveal himself as the ruler and judge of the universe. Whether we believe it or not, it doesn't matter. It's going to happen. And finally, how does that translate into you and me, as we are translators? Oh, yeah. Professional translators' work should reflect God's attributes in the quality and service, consistency, and accountability. Let's never forget that. Great. Any question or comment? Because I can't wait to jump into that verb, to be, and learn it once and for all. As I said earlier, there are 3 different translations in Spanish. In English, it's only 1. In Spanish, it's 2. In Greek, I remember, is 2 ways to translate it. But in Spanish, we have 3. All right. Oh, I have an announcement. In case that you like drama, I received this today. Dr. Paulson. Dr. Paulson is a great actor. He's also a pastor, but he's a professor of communication, and he's a great actor. Well, one of his friends, who is a great actor also, he's inviting us to a brand new production of the book of Revelation on Sunday, April the 26th at 5 p.m. in White Oak Baptist Church. I'm planning to be there. I don't want to miss that because I love drama. Now, renowned actor, director, and playwright David Burke will perform a solo dramatic presentation of the book of Revelation, and it is free of charge. So he says, through vivid storytelling and powerful imagery, this unique stage performance brings to life the messages of John the Apostle's revelation of Jesus Christ, revealing Christ as the triumphant King, encouraging persecuted believers, and proclaiming God's ultimate victory over evil, culminating in a new heaven and a new earth. So you like drama? I love drama. I can't wait to see that performance. It's taken him way over a year to write it down, and then to rehearse it and put it into the stage. So coming up in a couple Sundays from today at 5 o'clock, White Oak Baptist, that's the big church right across from the main entrance of Bob Jones University on Wadehampton Boulevard. I hope that I can see some of you there. All right. Let's now do the grammar. So please turn to page number 17. And what I did, instead of having it here as a slide, I'm going to turn to page 17 myself. So I will stop sharing, and then we'll go to the workbook so we can actually see what we have here for you. All right. Coming up. And it is right here. That will be page 63, actually, 63. All right, page number 63. Translation of the verb to be. The verb to be. As I said, we have 3 translations in Spanish, but you need to pick the right one for the context. It could be translated ser, estar, o tener? We'll see. Now here I'm giving you a dialogue to illustrate what I'm talking about. See, the verb to be has three translations in Spanish depending on the context. Ser, estar, tener. Now compare the following dialogues in English and Spanish. Let's look at the English first. Somebody's talking just casually. Look at this photo. It is my granddaughter. Oh, she's beautiful. How old is she? 3. How big she is. And then in Spanish, look at the 3 different ways of is. In English is. In Spanish, mira, esta foto es mi nieta. ¡Qué guapa es! ¿Cuántos años tiene? 3. ¡Qué grande está! So you see, ser, estar, tener. ¿Cuántos años tiene? And then we have rules for those. And that's what we're going to be talking about. Look at the second dialogue. Wow, this car is new, right? Yeah, it is only a week old. Yours is new too, isn't it? No way. It is new, but it is old. It is 3 years old. Translation. Wow, este carro es nuevo, ¿cierto? Sí, solo tiene una semana. El tuyo también es nuevo, ¿no? ¿Qué va? Está nuevo, pero ya es viejo. Tiene 3 años. So you ask yourself, okay, I see it, but how do I know when to write es, tiene, and está? That's what I'm talking about tonight. So you will know the rules and you will never, ever make a mistake for the rest of your life. Now, the above dialogues illustrate the 3 different Spanish translations of the verb to be. Ser, estar, tener. Now, remember, when we read earlier, yo soy I am the alpha and the omega, in Spanish, it will be yo soy el alpha y el omega. It uses soy, ser. And there's a reason for that. And we're going to see that in a minute. The specific translation is governed by specific rules. This is what you need to understand. So let's conjugate the verb to be. Ser, estar, tener. Now, before we look at the rules for using ser, estar, and tener, let us consider the conjugation of these verbs in the present simple tense. I am, yo soy. You are, tú eres. And that's informal, right? He, she, it is, él, ella, usted es. He, she, it is, you are. Here the you are is formal. Usted es. We are. Nosotros somos. You are. Ustedes son. They are. Ellos o ellas son. So this is just ser. Ser. Now what about estar? I am, yo estoy. You are, tú estás. He, she, it is. Él, o you are, as in usted, formal. Él, ella, usted está. We are, nosotros estamos. They are, ellos están. And then finally, the verb tener. But the thing about the verb tener in Spanish, it has 2 meanings. The purposes of this lesson, for the purposes of this lesson, to be translates as tener. Now, the verb tener also means to have. So tener means to have, but it also means to be. Okay? Here we have the translations, and they're both the same. I am, I have, yo tengo, you are, you have, tú tienes, he, she, it is, you are, he, she, it has, you have, él, ella, usted tiene. We are, we have, nosotros tenemos. You are, you have, ustedes tienen. They are, they have, ellos tienen. So let's focus on just the to be part of tener, which is I am, you are, he, she, it is, you are, and so forth. Let's ignore have for the moment because we're just dealing with the to be part of the verb. And that's what makes it a little bit confusing. But once you know the rules, it's not hard at all. Here are the rules. When to use ser. Please get it, okay? You use ser because ser expresses the attributes of a person or thing. The attributes. What are attributes? Like, soy gordo, soy delgado, soy alto, soy bajo, soy inteligente. Those are attributes. Eh? When you use ser, you're talking about the characteristics that are part of the essence of a person or thing. Something that is not easily changed. Permanent. Yo soy puertorriqueño. See, that's not changed. I could lie about it, but it doesn't change. Yo soy hombre. See, things that don't change. Now, here are the situations when you translate to be as ser. To identify a person or thing. Use ser to express qualities or characteristics of a person or thing. In reference to personality, size, color, material, or look. My house is small. You could change it, but you don't easily change that. Eh? What it is what it is right now. My house is small. My daughter is smart. Mi hija es inteligente. This chair is not made of plastic. It is made of wood. Esta silla no es de plástico, es de madera. How beautiful she is. Cuán guapa es. O cuán preciosa es. My brother is rich. Now, at the present, now that could change, but at the present, that's not changed. Mi hermano es rico. Okay? Now, you also use ser to talk about professions when you discuss a person's job, such as my dad is a teacher and my mom is a doctor. Mi papá es maestro y mi mamá es doctora. I am an interior designer. Yo soy diseñadora de interiores. Now, Spanish professions do not use an article in Spanish. Okay? You don't say, yo soy el maestro, unless you're talking about something else. You're not talking about describing your profession. If you say yo soy el maestro, then you are describing something else, but not the essence of the individual. Any question on that? All right. You also use it to discuss nationality and origin. When you introduce yourself or another person, use ser to say where you're from. His cousins are Peruvian. Sus primos son peruanos con P pequeña, por supuesto. Los gentilicios en español son con con letra minúscula. His grandma is Mexican. Su abuela es mexicana. Are you Spanish as in from Spain? ¿Eres español? Also use ser to talk about dates and venues of celebration. Do you want to say when and where your birthday is? Use ser. Do you know where the party is? ¿Sabes dónde es la fiesta? Sí, es a celebration, a venue of celebration. Now, a date. My birthday is on Saturday. Mi cumpleaños es el sábado, con minúscula, por supuesto. The wedding is here, but the banquet is in a nearby town. La boda es aquí, pero el banquete en un pueblo cerca. No hay que repetir es. La boda es aquí, pero el banquete en un pueblo cerca. No repetiríamos es en un pueblo cerca, no hace falta. To discuss time, use ser to talk about time, days of the week and hours. Today is Wednesday. Hoy es miércoles. Again, things that do not easily change. It is 5 o'clock. Son las 5. You could add en punto. Hurry up, it is late. Date prisa, es muy tarde. And then you also use it to address possession. Ser also helps you to talk about possessions. Is this yours? Esto es tuyo? This is Anna's jacket. Esta chaqueta es de Ana.
Yes.
The keys are Peter's. Las llaves son de Pedro. Any question about when to use ser in Spanish?
Sí, señor.
Okay. And you already wrote it. Yeah, go ahead, Jim, please.
Sí, señor. Número 5. ¿Sabes dónde es la fiesta? ¿Por qué no es sabes dónde está es la fiesta?
Está has to do, and that's the one coming up in a minute here. Está has to do with something that you could easily change or move. And then that party, the statement tells you that it is in a place. You cannot, it is not implicit that it will be moved to another location. So it is pretty much permanent at that moment. So that's why you use ser. See, the meeting is at the church. La reunión es en la iglesia. Now, we could change the meeting to the park, but that's not easily changed. At the present, the meeting is going to be at the church building. You see what I'm saying?
Sí, sí, claro.
And we'll see that in the next one, because estar is used when things could be changed.
Gracias.
Okay,
Claro.
de nada. All right, let's move on and let's go to estar. When to use estar? Think of estar as a status or condition. Estar expresses how a person or thing exists, finds itself in a place or situation, how it feels. See, feelings change. How it remains with stability in a place, situation, or condition. Examples will make it clear. As you can see, estar refers to something that can change and that doesn't belong to the nature of the person or thing. Estar helps you say how you are feeling, expresses a place that you are at or something that you are currently doing. Now, let us see all the specific cases for that. Number one, to indicate a location. Estar expresses the location of someone or something that is the subject to change. My aunt is on vacation in Cancun. See? The statement tells you indirectly that she's not going to be in Cancun for too long. It's just vacation. Nobody, well, you and me, you know, we poor people, we don't go on vacation for years. ¿Sí? Mi tía está en Cancún de vacaciones, implying that she will not be there too long. My car is in the mechanical workshop. My car is in the shop. Mi carro está en el taller de mecánica. Hopefully will not be there for too long. Where are my glasses? ¿Dónde están mis lentes? Hopefully you will not be looking for them for too long. So the statement itself tells you that it is a temporary situation. To express variable conditions or states, while ser expresses permanent qualities and characteristics, estar represents more variable and temporal states of being. Oh, my mom is mad at me. I could see a teenager saying that. Mi mamá está enfadada conmigo o enojada. Está. Hopefully she's not gonna be mad for too long. Juan is in a good mood today. Juan está de buen humor hoy. See, the sentence tells you it's not permanent. My skirt is dirty and torn. Mi falda está sucia y rota. You also using expressions with bien, mal, cerca, and lejos. There are also some expressions that go with estar. Okay? That is not right. Eso no está bien. Okay? It is wrong to talk like that. Está mal hablar así. You don't want to say es mal. No, está mal. His house is near, but mine is far. Su casa está lejos, está cerca, pero la mía está lejos. Also use estar to discuss your location in time. If you want to locate yourself in time, use estar. Such as, it is already December the 23rd. How time flies. Ya estamos a 23 de diciembre, como pasa el tiempo. ¿Eh? Because you are part of that time. We are already in summer, or it is summer already. Ya estamos en verano. Also use estar to express actions in gerund form, the ing ending in English. Estar forms part of the present continuous tense in Spanish that expresses actions in progress. My sister is cooking. Mi hermana está cocinando, in progress. I am watching TV. Estoy viendo la tele. Any question about estar? All right. And finally, tener. Now, keep in mind that tener could also mean to have, but we're not talking about to have. We're talking about to be. But to be comprehensive, let's look at to have. Tener means to have or to possess, but it also translates as to be in specific cases. Use tener to express something that you physically possess, a way you feel at a certain point in time, or a need you have, and also to express age. Okay? To express physical needs and emotional states. I want to also add that tener, as in to be, is also not permanent. Okay? Not permanent. It is transitional. As in, tener plus the nouns such as hambre, frío, calor, sed, miedo, and sueño. See, those are stages that are not permanent. Hopefully, you're not going to be hungry forever. Okay? You can talk about feelings or emotional states you have. Mom, I'm hungry. Shall we go for a pizza? Mamá, tengo hambre. ¿Vamos por una pizza? Can I have some water? I'm thirsty. ¿Me das agua? Tengo sed. Close the window. I'm cold. Cierra la ventana. Tengo frío. What a weather. I'm so hot. Vaya clima. Tengo muchísimo calor. I'm afraid of spiders. Tengo miedo a las arañas. I'm already sleepy and it is not even 9 o'clock. Ya tengo sueño y ni siquiera son las 9. ¿Ve el son aquí? Because it is time. Both are temporal, but one uses tener and the second is, or the second to be, uses ser. Oh, ser, I'm sorry, ser in this case, it doesn't change. It is 9 o'clock. That's the time. It is 9 o'clock, or not even 9 o'clock. Use tener to express age. Tener plus the age. There's the formula. Use tener to talk about people's ages, not ser. I am 20 years old. Tengo 20 años. Again, it changes. My husband is 30 years old. Mi esposo tiene 30 años. We are both 18. Los dos tenemos 18. ¿18 años o 18? You are already 10. ¿Ya tienes 10 años? Any question before we get to special uses of ser and estar? We're trying to be as comprehensive as possible tonight, so we can tackle it once and for all. Now, to learn it, you need to use it, and use it. Special uses of ser and estar. Change of meaning, ser versus estar. Some cases exist when you can use both ser and estar with the same adjectives, but take note, the meaning can completely change depending on which verb you use. Examples. Samuel es delgado. He's skinny. Samuel está delgado. See, the first one is pretty much permanent. The second one gives you the idea that he's been losing weight lately. Okay? Ah, qué delgado estás. Margarita es aburrida. O sea, ella aburre a todo el que esté ahí cerca de ella. O Margarita está aburrida. Ella misma está aburrida. You see the difference? Ay, qué aburrida eres, Margarita. Todo el que está cerca de ti se siente aburrido. O, mire, Margarita, pobrecita, está aburrida. Two different meanings. Es seguro cuando no hay peligro, o está seguro, estoy convencido de algo. ¿Ah? Es seguro. No te preocupes. Niños, no se preocupen. La casa es segura. No van a entrar los fantasmas. ¿Eh? Estar seguro. Por esto estoy seguro de que ni la vida ni la muerte, ni ángeles, ni principados, ni potestades, ni lo presente, ni lo porvenir, ni lo alto, ni lo profundo, ni ninguna otra cosa creada nos podrá apartar del amor de Dios que es en Cristo Jesús, Señor nuestro. Eso lo dijo el apóstol Pablo en Romanos capítulo 8. Estoy seguro, estoy convencido de que nadie nos podrá apartar del amor de Dios. Sí que dos cosas diferentes, ¿eh? Adela es lista, es bien viva, ¿ah? Vivaracha. Adela está lista, o sea, preparada. Ya está lista, vámonos, vámonos, que ya está lista. Las verduras son ricas. En general, toda verdura es rica. O las que te estás comiendo en ese momento, las verduras están ricas. ¿Sí? De slight difference. Soy consciente, esta es una que yo hablo mucho de ella, porque la gente la tiende a usar mal, mal, mal. Soy consciente, o sea, tengo el conocimiento, estoy informado, estoy al tanto, estoy al día, soy consciente. Pero estoy consciente significa que no estoy inconsciente. ¿Muy bien? All right. Now look at these. Ser and estar are used with the past participle of a verb. Ser más el participio pasado. La tarea estaba terminada. ¿Sí? La niña fue abusada. Ese es ser. An indirect object may be introduced with the preposition por. ¿Eh? La tarea fue terminada por él, la niña fue abusada por su tío. But still use ser. Now, estar más el participio pasado, otra vez, algo que cambia, que podría cambiar. La puerta está abierta. Vamos, ve, José, por favor, ciérrala. La puerta fue abierta por el viento. Así que el viento fue quien lo hizo, pero fue abierta. O se abrió por el viento, pero usando el participio pasado, fue abierta por el tiempo. Y esto es en el pasivo, por supuesto. También podría decir el viento abrió la puerta, pero ya ahí no usamos el ser ni el estar. Common expressions with ser. Following are a few examples of Spanish expressions with the verb ser. Es que estoy cansado. Ahí usa el estar también. Es que tengo hambre. Es importante que, es posible que, es necesario que, son expresiones. ¿De qué color es el traje que te compraste? ¿De qué nacionalidad es usted? ¿Qué hora es? Pero todas están siguiendo las reglas que ya cubrimos para el verbo ser. Common expressions with estar. Now, here is a sample of Spanish expression with estar. Estar para más infinitivo. Estar listo para comer. Estar por más infinitivo. Estar por llegar. Está a punto de, más el infinitivo. Está a punto de claudicar, dijo el salmista David. Estoy a punto de claudicar. Estar de vuelta o estar de regreso. ¿Eh? ¿Cómo está usted? Ok. Ah, esa expresión en inglés, ah, he's back. Oh, yeah, he's back. Decimos de vuelta o de regreso. No decimos está atrás. ¿Ok? He's back. Any question? Because we are about done. We're giving you many examples already. So we have covered all of this in about an hour. How about that? Shy of 1 hour. Un poquito menos que 1 hora. Si usted no se siente seguro todavía, if you don't feel that you mastered to be in Spanish, go ahead and reread this during the next hour. If you still have any questions, please email me. I don't want you to go forward to the next module until you have mastered the verb to be, which again could be ser, estar, o tener. All right. Very good. I'll be sending you an email with information in just a few minutes, and that we'll see you again on Thursday, this coming Thursday, Lord willing. And if you plan to attend that drama that is going to happen on the 26th at 5 o'clock, write it down or invite your friends. Is one of is a unique one. And I knowing Dr. Paulson, his tops. For Christmas I went to see him perform children's stories for Christmas, like um The Grinch, for example. And I tell you, I was sitting on the edge of the seat. I was like a little kid because he puts you in a trance. He's so good. And then he's saying that his friend is even better. So I can't wait to see that. All right. Have a good night. God bless you. And we'll see you again on Thursday. Look for my email in a few minutes. Bye
Gracias,
now.
señor.
Buenas noches.